Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things AEW and WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in-depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Join us as we dive into the high-octane action, dramatic storylines, and backstage buzz of AEW and WWE. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Welcome, one and all, to the Top Tier Wrestling Podcast. That's TTW if you're nasty. I am the documented bad guy, the realest heel to seal the deal, the submission magician, wink, Steel Dawn. Right alongside me, as always, is the legendary king of cool. Fam, this is the undisputed king of backbreakers. Ask him how, Josh Sutton. Tonight, we're here to cover Friday Night SmackDown, and guys, yeah, we need to talk about a few things. Let's get into it.
I don't think, in the interest of keeping this show at least relatively friendly, anyone should ask me how I'm the king of backbreakers. I don't recommend it.
Do it, fam. No.
No. We're taking a look at SmackDown from February 21st, and I don't mind saying right off the bat, this SmackDown was mid to bad. Which was surprising, because going into it, they were all like, "Oh, the final boss is gonna be here. He's gonna shake up the whole scene."
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, "Oh, the final boss. I wonder what's gonna pop up." I'm thinking WrestleMania. I'm thinking, "Oh man, it's going down. He's about to throw a wrench in the plans." Yeah. All right. That's all I'm gonna say about that for now.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into it as we get to it, but yeah, none save for, I'll review it at the end. But we get the show kicked off with Nick Aldis giving Cody Rhodes the bad news that he's been pulled out of tonight's main event tag team match, which I guess was supposed to originally be a triple threat involving him, Damian Priest, and Braun Strowman versus Jacob, Solo, and I guess the only remaining New Blood member, Tama Tonga.
Yeah.
So nobody mentioned at all the bad news that Tama Tonga gets to go on the shelf. Because nobody cared.
Oh, damn.
But Cody's like, why have I been pulled out of this match? That's
why
BS, Nick. And Nick's like, it comes from above me.
Wow.
It is beyond my power to change. If you smell what I'm cooking. Oh, subtle there, Nick.
Oh no. And then I thought, why?
But apparently The Rock wants to have a conversation with Cody, something that absolutely could not have taken place by text message or any of the other ways that later they will talk about how they became friends. This had to take place right now in the middle of SmackDown. So, that's how we start the show. And from there we proceed to the first match, which is, I guess, a grudge match, kinda? Because, like, Drew McIntyre was talking smack to Jimmy Uso at the last SmackDown, and Jimmy Uso walked off shot and then super kicked him. So now we have Drew McIntyre versus Jimmy Uso.
Yeah.
And this match kind of goes how I thought it would. Basically, McIntyre is bodying Jimmy Uso for like 90% of it, and then at the very end, Jimmy pretty much gets a quick roll-up pin, and somehow McIntyre like talks smack his way out of a win that he could have otherwise gotten.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Uso catches
They love
the
doing
win.
that with Drew.
Yeah, dude's built like an action figure and looks like he should lead the WWE at all times, and yet they keep making him a clown.
I'm not really sure what they're planning to do with this guy. Like, 1 week, he's alpha dog dominant briefly. And then the next,
Mhm.
he's fucking getting quick pinned by Jimmy Uso. And listen, no disrespect to Jimmy Uso. That's not the point here. Jimmy Uso, like, he's got his up and comings, right? And he's definitely a contender. What I'm saying is, Drew McIntyre just bodied Sammy Uso, right? Sammy ain't been able to win yet. He's been bodying this dude. They've been showing us that Drew is something to contend with. He just won his last triple match that he had. I think it was with
Yeah,
who
and
did
it
he?
got him.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the match that got him into the elimination chamber?
Yes. He just won.
Yeah.
He just won his spot in the elimination chamber. So he's on and up. Why did they put him in a match with Jimmy Uso and then have him get quick pinned? I'm so confused by this.
Well, I know why they had him get quick pinned, because it's really kind of the only way that match could have resulted in Jimmy getting the win.
Right, but they keep doing this thing where Drew McIntyre is just so hell bent on some sort of revenge, just on the minute with someone, and
Or
then
delivering a
suddenly,
dissertation to their face
yeah,
mid-match.
and then suddenly he has to explain why he's doing what he's doing and why he will always be the victor, and then lose.
Yep.
I just don't understand why this is the thing they kept doing with my guy. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Is he? Just make up your minds, really. But yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like anybody who was ever a Vince McMahon chosen one, except for say like Roman Reigns, is being punished. Like Austin Theory has been buried into the ground because I guess Vince McMahon liked him, and Drew McIntyre, as has been referenced many times, was the chosen one. So apparently, the chosen ones get to sit at the bottom of the card until Triple H deems otherwise, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think it's weird and a waste of talent, especially like Drew isn't getting any younger and he is maintaining that physique. And like, how many years do you want to keep him like with your thumb on him before you put him back on top?
Yeah. And I mean, why? Like what? Like, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
Because again, we know what WWE does to older talent. We know what they do. They're trying. I'll give them their credit and say that I do see some change in that particular perspective, or that particular angle. I'm starting to see them put. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if I'm seeing a change or not. I'm trying to see a change, I guess is what I should say. But I feel like they shit can their older talent. The older you get, the more you get, the further away from a title you get. Like your title options are just like, you've been here for 8 years, you were 30 when you started, you're 38 now. Well, then, just so you know, those doors are about to start closing. Around 38 to 42, the doors just start closing for your opportunities, and definitely around 42, you could still wrestle if you'd like, but you're not getting a belt. Like your belt options just dwindle the older you get. And I don't know how old Drew is, but he's getting around to the sweet spot. That it's like kind of like a now or never type situation. If Roman never wins another belt again, he's already done phenomenal. He's a Hall of Famer. He's gonna be in the books.
He's got a record like that will probably not be beat again in the modern era, because it was exhausting for that record that he got with the length of his title run. And I just don't think the modern audience, like back in the territory days where somebody could be champion for like 10 years, we aren't there anymore. That's too stale. That's too stagnant. So
agree.
he's done something that I don't think is likely to be repeated in the modern era again, just because I don't think the audience will have the patience for it ever again. That said, there's this weird window, because everything you just said about older talent, I feel like they humble younger talent. Like, look at what's happening with, like I mentioned, theory, but you could also lump in Waller and you could throw in Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
And it's like all these guys
Whose
are being
contract
like
hasn't been
humbled right
renewed, by the
now.
way.
Yeah, so I have no idea. There's like this weird window, I guess, when you're in your 30s that you can be the top guy, because when
Yeah.
you're younger than that, they humble the shit out of you. And
Yep.
when you're older than that, they're like, well, time to put you on the retirement out to pasture
Yeah.
track where you
Honestly,
put over the younger guys.
honestly, from I would say if you're really good, around 27, 28, like Rhea, like Austin, you'll hold a belt. You'll get a belt on you. Um, but most of the time, 30 and up, anywhere from 30 to 38, 39 is usually that sweet belt spot. They'll put one on you, and you'll be the guy, you'll be the girl for a minute. As long as you can continue doing what needs to be done, then they got you. But people like Roman, Cody, uh, uh, Drew, uh, I think Sheamus. They're getting around about. Sheamus might be a little bit older than Drew, but they're getting around about the age where shit starts to slow down for a wrestler in WWE. Um, you can
Yeah.
go to AEW at that point and probably still hold a belt for a couple of years or more. But in WWE, it's very rare that someone older, like in their 40s, will have a belt and keep a belt for a long period of time. Braun
Yeah.
Breaker is another one of those generational talents, if you will, where he's got a belt at a very young age, where I think he's
He's
still in his 20s.
Well, it's a combination of things, like, not to take away from his physical talents, because they're there. I mean, the dude
Yeah, of
is
course.
who he says he is, but he's
Yeah,
also
yeah,
the kid of a Steiner. I mean,
yeah,
like,
that's true.
if you try and pretend that there isn't nepotism in wrestling,
Oh, no. No,
I would
no.
point to the fact that Triple H married into the family, and that
Yeah,
Ava Raine, who for all intents and purposes is, I mean, let's face it, relatively mediocre, but she's the Rock's kid.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there is nepotism in wrestling, and it certainly fucking helps.
yeah.
Now, I
Just like in Hollywood. Come on.
yeah,
Honestly,
so
let's. Yeah,
but that will offer you the opportunity to get near the top of the card, whereas you know, you might not actually be any better than anybody else there.
yeah,
And they do have this weird perspective on older wrestlers. I mean, Edge all but said it. The reason he left WWE is that he worked too hard to get back into the ring to be used as like a once in a while attraction. He wanted to wrestle more regularly.
yeah,
And WWE had it like they had already painted that picture. You know, he couldn't get out from under that labeling. And
yeah,
so he left to go where he could continue to wrestle the way he wants to.
yeah,
And it's like, well, you're you know, you're hurt and you're older, so we're just gonna put you in this pigeonholed spot. But good job fighting for your life to get back in this ring.
yeah. I mean, as long as you can still go, then I don't see what the problem is. Um, and you could still have some amazing matches with older talent versus younger talent for belts. I mean, you can still do this. As a matter of fact, some of the best matches, uh, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay. Um, there's a age difference there, but phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like you could have some amazing matches with with a youth of the younger competitor versus a more experienced competitor.
Yeah,
Get some good
but
stuff.
I
And
just gotta say,
Edge shines in matches like that. Whenever you can
mhm,
see him doing some of the old school dirty moves that he used to do, versus somebody who maybe be a little bit more inexperienced than him, and they don't expect for him to do stuff like that. That kind of stuff is great to see. So they kind of gotta get their thumb off of talent based on age. I would go by skill. Like, are you still going? Are you
yeah.
still doing your thing? How are your injuries? How are
Well,
you feeling? That kind of stuff.
they're thinking about it less from like a what's good for the wrestlers and what's good for the fans, and it's more like who can we put this show on the back of, and they tend to think
Yeah,
that that's going to be younger, healthier guys, and to an extent, that's true, right? Like
yeah,
if we saw that with Punk in AEW, they tried to put the belt on him twice, and he couldn't stay healthy enough to hang on to it.
yeah, yeah,
So there is a real risk factor of doing that, but at the same time, they've had one of the belts Dust
Does
Dustin Rhodes,
yeah,
Gold
yeah,
Dust, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
They've had one of the belts on him now for a while, and it's a Ring of Honor title, sure, but
yeah.
it's a title. That is
But
something
he
I
can.
think
Yep, yep.
WWE could take a page out of, is to have a
Yes,
few more prizes for wrestlers to fight for, so that you don't have all of this like talent that deserves some kind of accolade that doesn't ever get it because the storylines are all too tied up for the like four belts that are worth anything.
yes, yeah,
You know, some minor titles, some more minor titles and some more prizes I think would be good. I don't think it takes away from anything. I mean, each title stands on its own in my opinion.
yeah,
And it will allow these people that are just workhorses to have a storied career, even if they
yeah.
never quite get to play around with the Cody Rhodes and the Roman Reigns.
You
You know,
know,
the Chosimbas.
yeah. I'll say this. I think I'm not saying that you need to have 30 belts, right? I'm not saying that. However, I am saying that you should have more than 4 people in your promotion worthy of holding a belt. And if that's the case, then maybe you should have more belts.
I
Um,
I think it definitely restricts creative freedom because if you've written those four belts into locked in storylines and the bloodline has had like one of the title belts, like they even said it recently. I think Seth said they created this, or no, Roman said it. They created this other belt because I wouldn't lose.
yeah,
Um, or maybe I heard that on a video actually, but
yeah.
it's I mean,
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think you did.
if I heard it from anyone, it's because everybody knows it. It's like not a secret. They created a
Yeah,
second belt because all of the belts being on Roman was boring and it restricted what they could do in terms of
yeah,
storytelling because there's not a prize attached.
yeah,
So, you know, you just open up a lot more if you have more belts.
yeah.
And
I
somehow AEW's pulling it off with all the belts they have, with I think lower TV time total than
yeah.
WWE has.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think there should be at least 5 single belts for both male and female, and then at least 3 different tag team belts on both sides. And I
Yeah,
don't think that's too much.
I think the triples championships not a bad idea.
Yeah, oh
Um,
yeah, and a couple of triples championships. That'd be nice too. Or maybe just like, when I say triple, when I say a set, I mean like one for the ladies, one for the guys, you know?
yeah,
That'd be nice too. I mean, and I think that's pretty. If you have 110 wrestlers on your roster, right? Then maybe 10% belts. You know, I mean,
yeah, some ratio. But I mean, just a few more prizes to fight for, and
yeah,
I don't think that would be a bad thing because then you could have some
nope,
stuff for like it's killing me that Sheamus and Drew aren't carrying belts. They both are just amazing workhorses that have been
yeah,
doing this forever and they're still at the top of their damn game.
yeah,
So I just don't, speaking of not utilizing older talent very well, like I'm hearing that like AJ Styles, maybe his contract is going to be up and they're not going to renew. And I'm like, why?
oh
I
God,
mean, it's
come
AJ
on.
freaking Styles.
That is a stupid move. I would not do that. But
And
again, I don't have a promotion.
and I don't know what happened to Randy Orton. Like he's been dead from that pile driver from Kevin Owens for like 4 months. What the hell, dude?
Yeah.
Like meanwhile, Cody Rhodes came back from a package pile driver like a week later. Is Randy like dead for real? What happened? Where is he? Dude
Seriously.
fought so hard to come back only to go on like a super long vacation. So but I don't know what the story is there, but man, it sure seems like, and it was a regular kind of easygoing pile driver compared to the package pile driver.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I think about that age issue that WWE has, and I'm thinking about some of our current favorites, like even Jay. Like this has to be Jay's year because I think they're 39, Jay and Jimmy. Um, which gives me concern for Jimmy. Like, what are we doing with Jimmy? And again, this is all because there's not enough belt. There's not enough belts going around.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're gonna get them back as a tag team.
Well, and I
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No.
I know WWE thinks that the exclusivity of their belt is what gives it strength. It's not. It's the fact that like any championship is a notable prize to fight for, and then the amount of heat and story between the champ and any potential rivals is what gives it a lot of strength.
Yeah.
And I just think you would open yourself up to more options for wrestlers to put accolades and feathers in their cap, as well as more creative options for your writing team. You know, there's only so many like we're looking at WrestleMania and we're like, who's gonna go after what? Because there's so many top players and only like two on the men's side, only like two top belts.
Yep.
So it's like, you know, we've got a wealth of talent coming into the Elimination Chamber, and since Gunter is already tied to Jey Uso, it's like 50 guys looking at Cody Rhodes, and only one of them is going to be able to get that, you know, that shot.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I don't, and that's because again, belts. We need more belts, man. I mean that this is a clear sign that we need more belts because I honestly feel, and I think I said it earlier, but I honestly feel if you have, you don't need 50 belts, but you should probably have like 50 guys at any point where you could say, yeah, that guy could get a belt. She could get a belt tomorrow if you want it. You should have talent like that. And WWE, I don't think has an excuse when it comes to treating their wrestlers well. You got no excuse. You are a $1 billion industry. You should be treating them not like pawns, not like pieces or objects for you to do whatever you will. Like they're not trading cards. And these are people that are like putting their bodies on the line and I'm not talking about like once or twice a week sometimes. We're talking about these people go, man. They don't sleep. They sleep on the bus. They're always on the move. They do this for the love of what they do, and you shouldn't be exploiting that. So we should be treating them quite well. They should be especially in WWE when you have corporate holdings that are just phenomenal. Yeah, and people are clamoring to get into your promotion. There should be a reason for that. They should be getting treated so well, and you shouldn't be putting everything on one guy's shoulders.
Well, and they should be getting utilized well. Two points I'd like to make, and then I think we should probably continue. But one, treating these guys well means booking them well and making the most of their careers because they're giving you their bodies that, you know, there's plenty of these guys that have figured out how to do it for like 15, 20 years. But in some cases, you're lucky if you can get a decade out of this. This is rough work.
Yeah.
And so wasting any amount of these individuals' time is just like unconscionable.
Yeah.
Because this is the only, like, there's only a window where so many of these folks can perform at this level.
Yeah.
That's one. And point two is WWE kind of burns the negative candle at both ends. It doesn't have as many titles, and it has this really bad pattern of really poor belt mobility. Like somebody will get the belt and then they just stay on it for months or even years, and it's like with so few prizes, for them to sit stagnant on somebody for so long is a real tragedy. Like more titles and better title mobility I think would do a lot to elevate the entire roster. Again, I point back to kind of the Attitude Era where on any given night, you know, they made it believable that anybody could win, especially when Mick Foley got it off of The Rock. You know, but So if you want to elevate all of your stars instead of like two or three of them, then you got to make me believe that on any given night, any of these guys, these superstars, are the guy that could be the guy, or the girl that could be the
Absolutely.
girl that becomes
Yeah.
the champ.
Yeah, I agree.
So hopefully some of that feedback will, find their way there, or at least get into the zeitgeist enough, perhaps through the dissemination of this podcast, that people can like make them hear it.
Yeah.
But I already think there's plenty of people saying it. So moving on from Jimmy Uso's quick pin win over Drew McIntyre, we then see Solo Sikoa arrive at the arena.
Late. If the show is going on and the cameraman has you driving up, you are late, son.
Late. Yeah. And they go on to explain that what happened to Tama Tonga last week was an accident, and Jacob tells Solo, hey, it's all good. However, if it wasn't an accident, Solo wouldn't be standing here right now. So the dynamic between Jacob and Solo is very different. Like, he went from "I love you, Solo" to "I could whoop your ass if I wanted to in any given moment."
As it should
Solo.
be, yeah, as it should be, because if you guys remember, and you pointed this out to me right after we watched this show, or probably during it, that it should be this dynamic, because Solo completely like stopped following whatever Roman was saying the second Roman lost the Ulafala,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Right?
You remember when Roman lost the championship belt in the like immediately following WrestleMania,
Yes,
SmackDown. Solo was like, losses have consequences. I think they went to their dressing room and they were kicked out. And I want to say the Wiseman says, well, Solo, losses have consequences. And then Solo echoed that back to him, and that's what set the stage. That was the foundational like philosophy that set the stage for Solo taking over. Yes. And now that Solo's lost the Ulafala, if we're being consistent with that thought process, we are in that same spot. Now is the time for Jacob to go, well, you weren't strong enough to hang on to that, so now somebody stronger needs to step up.
Yeah.
And so this all makes perfect sense within its own, bubble of the way that the tribesmen, the bloodline work.
Yeah. So that's good. I thought his attitude, and I don't know if they thought about that, or if they were just thinking, Jacob's getting real big right now, and so we're just gonna go ahead and let him have this particular persona. But in either case, it's working.
I think it could be a little bit of both. I think it caught him off guard how good Jacob would be, but then they rolled with the punches, and now they're doing a decent job of making that scenario fit with their what's the right term? Not dogma, but with it's consistent with the philosophy that the bloodline has been putting forth, and I don't think that's on accident.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know, but I'm certainly hoping that is exactly why they're doing this, or why they're doing this dynamic. I hope they aren't getting ready to squash or bury Solo.
I don't think it would be
because of audience reaction and whatnot. Because people just ain't feeling Solo, right? But Jacob Fatu is the bad guy, and even while he is fighting people like Louisiana Knight, they're still cheering for Fatu. They don't stop cheering for LA Knight. They don't. But like, they're cheering for Fatu. Solo gets into the ring. We want Fatu. Like, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because he's just that good.
He is. He absolutely is. So I'm hoping their response are the new dynamic that they're giving Jacob is based on the fact that he's good, and that they're gonna go along with the storyline, which means like Solo lost to Ulafala, he no longer is followed by Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu does his own thing, and it just is what it is. Like he is making his moves to be head of the family, if you will.
Well, on the other upside, this sets up a couple of situations. One, I definitely think they're building Jacob versus Solo in a rift in
Yeah.
the new bloodline
Mm-hmm.
for this
Mm-hmm.
upcoming WrestleMania. And in order for that to be compelling, they can't bury Solo. In the same
Yeah.
way, in order for it to have been compelling when it was Roman versus Solo's new bloodline, they couldn't be burying them either, because then it's not compelling. So I think they're going to have to make it good, but I think what the other thing that they might be able to set up here will be Jacob calling on yet more bloodline members like Hikaleo
Mm.
or some of the other ones. I'm blanking on the other fellow's name. Uh, but at any rate, he'll be able to call upon them and build his own little bloodline, and that will send Solo back to the original bloodline. And then you have all three of the brothers and Roman on the same side, opposite Jacob's new bloodline. The werewolf pack or the blood wolf pack. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something like that. And I think that could be very compelling. Especially since Jacob is as strong as he is. Like he definitely could stand against the OG bloodline as their leader.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
I kind of think that might be where they're heading, but we'll see. But basically to continue that little segment, Jacob reminds Solo that they're going to run the plays tonight, and Solo has no problem with that. And he goes on to say that's why he loves Jacob. So now you've got Solo telling Jacob he loves him all the time. And he mentions he's going to go have a conversation with Nick Aldis. And after that, there's some vignettes that are promoting Elimination Chamber's kickoff event and a vignette for the Elimination Chamber for anybody who's unaware of what that match type is. And following that, we see, I want to say it was R-Truth coming up to Carmelo. And then Miz shows up, and R-Truth is like, Miz wants you to say he's awesome. And Carmelo's like, nope. And so Miz has set up a match with him and Carmelo versus Louisiana Knight and R-Truth, which is going to come up. But before we get there, there's a Zelina Vega promo where she talks about how she's always been, people have always been trying to label her and define her. She's always been considered an underdog because she's so small. And
It's pretty small.
She says, I had to scratch and crawl to get anything around here, but this is a fresh start because she recently just came to SmackDown on her own. She's no longer with the LWO. And she says, this is a fresh start because I got things to prove, and my dreams are a lot bigger than your measuring stick. It's not over until Zelina Vega says it's over. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, talk your smack. We'll see if you play that out in the ring, but I liked it. It was a good promo.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our second match of the night. R-Truth and Louisiana Knight versus Carmelo Hayes and The Miz. And I love that R-Truth was talking about, this being a hometown favorite since this was taking place in New Orleans. And we're like, who is it? And he goes, Louisiana Knight. And we're like, oh my God, okay. Yeah. And go ahead.
LA walks out confused as shit. Because I'm not from here. But yeah, oh my God.
Then remember, R-Truth hands him like a hoagie.
Oh, that's right. Yes, and some beads.
And some Mardi Gras beads. And LA Knight looks at the hoagie, but then he bites like half of it off in one bite. And I'm like, well, I guess he needed to fuel up for the match.
Yeah, I mean, since I'm about to have a match, might as well get some of this protein. I don't know what he did with the sandwich. At first, I thought he was going to throw it into the audience, but he didn't. I think he put it down or handed it somewhere.
I think he gave it to somebody behind the timekeepers area before he got into the ring.
Maybe he gave it to what's her name? Lillian Garcia.
Lillian Garcia, yeah.
Yeah. For that woman. Anyway, this match with Louisiana Knight, R-Truth versus Carmelo and The Miz went about as I expected. Um, it was fun. Like, so it's kind of hard to go over these matches because they were all just kind of, you know, they were all
Yeah,
right.
they were okay. This match, the way I felt about it was that it was amusing, right? Like this was a funnier match. I mean, you've got the Miz and R-Truth and LA Knight and
Right.
Carmelo Hayes, and both the Miz and R-Truth were holding up not just the comedic end, but they were performing well in the ring. R-Truth is still fantastic in the ring.
Yeah.
And the Miz, when they let him, is also very good. Carmelo can go, LA can go. So we had some solid back and forth wrestling and a few interesting spots. Like you had R-Truth hitting or attempting to hit the 5 moves of death because of his childhood hero John Cena.
Yes.
And it was kind of a could go either way match until there's a point where I forget if it was R-Truth or Miz that had LA Knight, I want to say, outside at the ring. And the other sets of opponents were in the ring, and I think the ref was occupied, and it was from behind the timekeeper's table that Shinsuke Nakamura attacks LA Knight.
Yeah.
And that's what ends up allowing LA Knight to be thrown back into the ring, and Miz, and this was actually a really cool move between Miz and Hayes. Miz picks up LA Knight and goes for the skull crushing finale, but as he sets it up right in the almost a full Nelson, kind of from the side a little bit, Carmelo Hayes runs up and does the first 48. So you get a skull crushing finale onto the knees of Hayes doing a first 48 as a combination move, and we both were like, "Hey, that was cool!"
Yeah.
And that gets him the win. So Miz and Hayes catch the win, and Carmelo's still pretty standoffish with the Miz, standing in front of him during their victory celebrations. So Miz just gets out of the ring and starts walking back and that's how they ended it. So it was an amusing match, but it wasn't like, match of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It definitely, it shows that maybe they're going to have Carmelo Miz for a minute. Like they're already on a winning streak, so to speak. Maybe. And it definitely allowed more vitriol to build between Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight.
Yeah.
So it was okay. And then we got after that match, we got a Charlotte Flair vignette. How are you feeling about the returning Charlotte Flair? She seems to be controversial right now. Like, should we cheer her? Should we boo her? Should we...
I'm not really sure why she's controversial. The only thing that I can think is she's suffering from the same thing that a lot of the older wrestlers are suffering from for some reason, like their political views. And I don't know. I don't know if that's what the thing is. I don't know why, honestly.
Yeah, I'm completely confused. She seemed like she wanted to make a return as more of a face and then got booed out of the building. So I guess she's going heel because that's the direction the crowd has driven her.
Yeah.
And I guess what I don't understand is why she got booed out of the arena when she made her debut back. I don't like, why are we booing Charlotte Flair? Is my question. I didn't get it.
I did not get the memo. Nobody has keyed me into what's going on or why we don't like her, but apparently we don't like her. But personally, I don't know what it is. All I can say is I'm waiting to see her in the ring in some one-on-one matches. That's what I'm here for. I think. I don't know what the underlining vibe of disdain is.
Yeah, I must have missed it, but
yeah,
it's going to between Tiffany Stratton, who has since she's debuted been basically a heel, with the vitriol, like with the rivalry that they're having between like Nia Jax and Candice LeRae, who are obvious heels, and now Charlotte, who has chosen Tiffany Stratton as her opponent at WrestleMania. and is also becoming a de facto heel, it's going to make Tiffany Stratton end up being a face.
Oh yeah, no, she's a yeah, she is completely a heel. I'm sorry, completely a face, not heel. Jeez. Sorry, you know what? My brain, I'm already like everybody should be a heel. We have cookies. Sorry.
Join the dark side.
Embrace it. Use it.
Well, that coupled with the fact that Tiffany has been trying to win her matches clean, and the fact that like when Trish Stratus was going to team up with her, you know, Tiffany Stratton, who like in earlier promos has often called herself the center of the universe, was totally like, is it Trishy time? Trishy and Tiffy time? So she was very welcoming of Trish Stratus. So yeah. she's going total face.
Yeah. And I mean that's fine. I'm looking for an Tiff Stratus, or she's looking great, so you know, I wasn't too excited to see her the last time she was there until she had that she had one banger match.
Yeah, that long rivalry with her and Becky Lynch was relatively lame until their final cage match, in which they both brought it.
Yeah, I agree. So I mean, you know, it was kind of meh, but I mean, she's looking, she still looks great. She can still go. So hopefully we get a nice little rivalry here with all of these ladies involved. The comparison that people claim has been going on with Tiffy and Charlotte Flair. I didn't know about that. And I don't see any similarities. So
I mean, other than the fact that they're both blonde women that do a moonsault, that's it. That's the only connective tissue.
That's it. So I'm assuming that they're just building, like they've created this story for kayfabe, because I any other way I don't see what they're talking about there. So
yeah. Well, speaking of Miss Stratton et al., the next segment is a Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, Candice LeRae segment. And Tiffy comes out to the ring and lets everyone know that ever since she's won this title, everybody's been obsessed with me. And we were like, yeah, because you have the title.
Yeah, you have a belt. Like, again, we just talked about earlier in this podcast, there's like 3 belts around. Yeah, they're looking for belts, man.
Yep, that's what having the belt does for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, you get a spotlight. You get a target on your back. And every wrestler that's ever gotten a belt tells you that. So surprise.
Yeah. And she goes on to say that last week she had Nia Jax beat until Candice LeRae decided to interfere and help her meal ticket. But she says that Elimination Chamber, Trish and herself are going to make sure that the unstoppable force comes to a definitive end. And then she goes on to say, but I don't want to talk about them. She wants to talk about Charlotte Flair. She says she took her sweet time, grabbed a chair, grabbed a mic, and looked down upon me as she picked me as a WrestleMania opponent. And in that moment, my dream came true. She goes on to say, as she laid there and looked up at Charlotte, she realized that the rumors are true. No one loves to kick a girl when she's down quite like Charlotte Flair. So at WrestleMania, she says she's not coming for Charlotte's legacy. She's coming for the spot she desired most, the number 1 spot as the top girl in the WWE. And that's when Nia comes out, and she says, Tiffy, I have to say, it's really cute that you actually think you were going to beat me. And she says, don't you think that's cute, Candice? And Candice is like, oh, it's so cute. And you know what? I wouldn't be standing here right now if it wasn't for your mentor, Trish Stratus. Oh, no, you wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for Trish Stratus. And Nia says, exactly. And you're out here addressing Charlotte Flair when you even see WrestleMania. Because after Candice and I destroy you at Elimination Chamber, I'm coming back for my women's championship, and you'll never even see the grandest stage of them all. And Tiffany goes on to then say, Nia, give it up. This title isn't yours anymore, and once I beat Candice, you won't have anybody to do your dirty work for you anymore. And Candice then responds, telling Tiffy, I know we have a match right now, but Nia and I are just a little impatient. And Nia says, yeah, why don't we just take you out right now? And so it looked like they might be starting something, but I think the show cut to a commercial break.
Yeah, they're like, hold that thought, ladies.
And
Have you
that brings
tried
us.
Tide?
Have you tried Tide? New from Pizza Hut, the Annihilator. Anyway, we return with the match already in progress, and it's Tiffany Stratton versus Candice LeRae with Nia Jax, of course, at ringside. And I'll throw this one over to you. What did you make of this match?
I feel the same way that I felt about all of them. This one was mid. Actually, this was probably the worst match of the night. Um, it was mid like the rest, but this one had a lot of flubs from our champion.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because she and Candice just don't work well together. I don't know, but it's lackluster to start, and I'm not real big on Candice LeRae because whatever she tries to do, there's a smaller female competitor that can do it better. Um, I'm not saying that Candice LeRae is bad. I'm not, but I'm saying she's the female Jimmy Gargano. Like, that's funny because they're married, but there's really like no personality. There's nothing there that gets my attention about her. And that could just be me. That could just be my personal preference. But I see somebody like Alexa Bliss, and Alexa Bliss is a lot more than just be small. She can get in the ring and do some devastating shit. Even Liv Morgan does more devastating shit than Candice LeRae. Um, Candice LeRae, I can't even think of one move that she does that I'm like, oh snap. Her move set is mid. Like, just it's a mid situation there. And putting her with Tiffany Stratton is a luxury. One that I would hope that she would have used the opportunity to shine. I'm not saying that she couldn't, but well, actually, I'm saying that she couldn't because Tiffany just wasn't there. Tiffany just wasn't there in that match for all the basic midness I can give Candice LeRae. Tiffany Stratton got in the ring and did a mid performance. I don't know if she was trying to meet Candice where she thought she was. Maybe she didn't want to wrestle Candice and just thought she was gonna give us a shit performance. But when you're in the ring, it's not about your competitor. It's more than just your competitor, I should say. You got the audience that you're trying to entertain. You also want to make sure that you aren't hurting your competitor, whether you like them or not. You don't want to end somebody's career like that. You want to be present in the ring, and it felt like Tiffany just wasn't present. Like, maybe she was just thinking, I don't know. I don't know. Don't think that she was taking any consideration for not just herself, but her competitor and what she was doing. I mean, I just felt like she was somewhere else. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I feel like mentally she was just somewhere else. So this match was it was a messy mid.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. There was a fair number of spots between LeRae and Stratton where it looked like it was slightly miscued. And I'm with you. I don't know if they just don't communicate well or don't have good chemistry. But there were at least two relatively significant flubs in this match. There was when Stratton had tossed LeRae kind of outside, and then she delivers a big Orihara moonsault from the top rope to the outside, and one, it looked like Stratton over rotated, and two, neither LeRae or Nia caught her well, so she basically just flew to the floor.
Yeah.
That was one. That was a bad one. And considering that Charlotte Flair was on the shelf for like several months, almost a year, for hurting the shit out of her knee from that very same kind of a move. Like, they really need to do better there.
Yeah.
Some of these outside moves are getting more and more dangerous, and I don't know why that's the case. I mean, I see them all the time in other promotions that is not so dangerous, but I mean, just recently, in the past, I recall seeing Johnny Gargano practically dive into the announce table, and just recently, JD McDonough hurt himself quite badly on a I guess a poor landing where he whiplashed himself on the announce table.
Yeah.
So these moves, for what they are, aren't worth doing if you can't do them better and more safely, because it's just going to get somebody really badly hurt. And then later this is not as dangerous of a flub, but there was a costume issue with Tiffany Stratton. You remember where we got a black screen briefly, and when we were watching, and we were like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
Well, after the fact, I found out it's because the editors that were watching blacked out the screen because Stratton apparently had like her top come down when she was hitting LeRae in the corner.
Oh.
And she had to quickly correct it, and they blacked the screen to keep, I guess, the whole world from catching some Tiffy nips.
Well, now I'm upset. No.
Right? Would have been it in match of the night. But yeah, this was, considering this is what constitutes the top of the card for SmackDown's women's division performing. This was incredibly sloppy in mid. Like really, really unacceptably bad. I truly hope they can turn it around, but for your champion and their major rivals to be putting on probably the worst match of the night that's bad. That's real bad. Ultimately, this ends up being a little all over the place because Jax and LeRae try to attack Stratton. And Stratton, this is after it's after the match, because Stratton connects with the PME to pick up the victory, but afterwards Jax attacks Stratton from behind, and so you end up with a situation where Stratton's getting beat up on by both Nia and Candice, and then Trish comes out, and I want to say this is also the match that had like the weirdest, like it was the most safe but also the worst looking Annihilator, because kind of getting the up against both Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton. Nia Jax ends up stacking Trish Stratus on top of Stratton and delivering a double Annihilator. But you and I both watched this. She dropped so gently upon them that it almost didn't look like she actually executed the move at first.
Yeah.
And then she pops right back up. And so I like the idea, but you delivered it in such a way that it was so safe that it undermined doing it at all.
Yeah.
And so this match was just riddled with those kinds of problems. And it ends with Charlotte standing tall over Stratton and pointing at the WrestleMania sign yet again. So not the best work of these ladies, I have to say. After that, we get Cody Rhodes running into Damian Priest in the backstage area, and Damian mentions that they both walked out of last year's WrestleMania as world champions, but unfortunately this year that won't be the case. Priest says he's looking forward to fighting Cody for the WWE Championship after winning the Elimination Chamber match. And he goes on to say, unlike other people, I'm going to tell you to your face. And I'm like, it's sort of assumed that anybody who wins Elimination Chamber is going to pick Cody Rhodes because Gunter and Jay is already made. So it's not like you are informing Cody of anything but the obvious. Yeah. But then Cody kind of steps out of the frame, like they're done. And that leaves Priest, and Braun Strowman comes up and gives Priest his props for winning the qualifying match last week. And Priest, acknowledges that he beat Strowman to the punch, and if the roles were reversed, they would have done the same. But tonight, they're on the same page, and they're going to deliver the business to Solo and Jacob. So that was probably one of the more coherent promo segments of the night,
Yeah.
because coming up we've got some bad ones. Um, but after that interaction, we are brought to Byron Saxton, who's interviewing Bianca Belair and Naomi, and Byron says something like, it's insinuated that Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are responsible for what happened to Jade. And both Bianca and Naomi indicate that they absolutely know for sure, for certain, without a doubt, that it was Liv and Raquel. And I'm sitting here thinking, why would they have to do that on the sly? Liv and Raquel would absolutely brag about taking out Jade Cargill, as would Nia Jax. It really doesn't make any sense that it would be those two, but that's the direction we're going in right now.
Yeah. I don't know if they're leaning into it or if they're just trying to psych us out. I'm not sure, but right now it looks like Liv and Raquel were responsible. They just don't want to tell anybody for some reason.
Yep. And they go on to say that they're going to get some payback at the Tag Team Championship match on Raw this Monday. And Bianca goes on to say they haven't even been able to hear from Jade, but they're keeping their focus on the tag team titles in the Elimination Chamber because one of them will have the opportunity to challenge Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship at WrestleMania. And Naomi goes on to say that Liv is going to feel the glow tonight. And then we cut to a Alexa Bliss promo where she said a lot changed when she was away. But when she looks around, she sees that this place is very much the same. The names and the faces may be different, but the desperation and the insecurities remain the same. And she goes on to say that we'll all see that in Toronto when she turns the Elimination Chamber into a playground of her own. She says she knows the chamber, she loves the chamber, she's won the chamber. And the other 5 women, it's going to be a hell like they've never experienced before. Need I remind you, this is my division. I'm in charge. See you soon. And from there, we come to the 4th match of the night, which is Naomi with Bianca Belair versus Liv Morgan with Raquel Rodriguez. This one's a... Go ahead.
Oh, it's kind of the match that never was. Because they ambushed Naomi and Bianca Belair. Before the bell rang, they were ambushed by Liv Morgan and Raquel, and I mean they beat the stuffing.
Yeah, they were
out
laid
of these
out.
ladies.
Yeah, Bianca and Naomi got the beat down from the Judgment Day on this one.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm here for it. Raquel is consistently looking more and more like a true dominant force. I need her to stop throwing people in the corner. And stop making every move that she does picking somebody up by their head. As soon as she does that, I'll be more on board. Right now I got one foot on the boat. I'm not too sure. The boat's kind of wobbly, so I keep taking my foot off. But if she stops throwing people in the corner whenever she's doing a move, I'll put it in solid. I'll put my foot solidly in the boat and think about putting my other foot in that boat. I'll think about it.
Indeed. And I agree with you. I am seeing improvement from Raquel, but I also see a lot of potential, and I'm just hoping she can get there.
Yeah.
But after that beatdown, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are shown in the back walking up to Nick Aldis, and they're going, "Hey, we will happily replace Naomi and Bianca in the Women's Elimination Chamber." And Nick's like, "What? Like they're going to make it to the Elimination Chamber? That's fine." And Chelsea goes on to say, "Well, it's a travesty to not have Canada's greatest export since maple syrup on the Elimination Chamber PLE card, to not have it." And Nick pretty much just like leaves and Chelsea is screaming after him like, "Hello."
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
so that the fourth match was a no contest because it was a non-starter. It was just Liv and Raquel beating the crap out of Bianca and Naomi before the bell.
Yeah.
And that leads us into the most controversial segment of this particular episode of SmackDown. Would you or should I?
Please.
Well, this is the segment between Rock and Cody Rhodes. And we had heard that The Rock is coming and he's calling out somebody. He also had a big announcement with the worst kept secret in the universe was that WrestleMania 42 is going to take place in New Orleans.
Yeah, I was so confused by that. I honestly
Yeah.
thought that they
And
knew that because
the entire internet knew that well before The Rock showed up and acted
yes.
like he was laying some news on folks. And The Rock comes out, and The Rock has gone from being amazing to just being long-winded and weird. Just to get
Yeah.
this like up front. And he went back and forth from like, getting the crowd to cheer for him to telling them that he was going to slap the syphilis off their faces. And it just was a weird, like I felt like I was watching The Rock go schizophrenic in real time.
Yeah, he was hella bipolar. Like I couldn't follow him. It was like he did a line of coke and then immediately decided to follow that up with like the purest, like the cleanest weed, like the biggest Rastafarian joint he has ever smoked in his life. Like he just had that right after the line of coke, and then he came out just crazy.
And then he proceeds
Crazy.
yeah, absolutely crazy. And then like he ends up calling Cody Rhodes out. And from this point forward, we proceed to have the most confusing, slightly repetitive, and weirdly creepily homoerotic situation between him and Cody Rhodes I've ever seen.
Slightly repetitive.
Like
Slightly? Oh my god.
Like when Cody gets to the ring, he says, "That feels good, doesn't it? I mean, that's got to feel amazing, right? They love you, man." And Cody turns to the audience and awkwardly says, "I love you too." and and then The Rock just repeatedly goes on to talk about like how Cody Rhodes, got his flowers and how he's been carrying the company and how since the last time they fought, they've become great friends. As a matter of fact, our moms have become friends. And they show a picture of Mama Rhodes and Mama Rock, and that was after last year's WrestleMania. And he goes on to say, "It's been a pleasure becoming your friend." And he's just like it's so repetitive. Like I don't want to be as repetitive as he was, but he just constantly is lavishing on Cody and talking about how they became great friends. And he says, "Cody, I need you to understand something. The final boss is on the board of TKO, and TKO owns WWE. The Rock is the director of the board. As a matter of fact, don't boo that. The Rock's good friend and consigliere, who you know very well, Ari Emanuel, who owns everything." I joked with him and I said, "Ari, can you believe you own the WWE?" And he's like, "I don't own WWE. Rock, you own WWE."
Oh my lord.
And so he goes on this really long, lengthy way of saying, that he's the most powerful executive with regards to WWE. And it's like, yeah, we kind of got that. We knew that already. That's why you're called the final fucking boss.
Yeah.
So why did you need 25 years to get to that point, you noob? And so he's with the like fucking ass kissing to Cody. He's like, you're a great champion and you're my friend, but I want to be something that's more than a great champion. I want you to be something more than our champion. I want you to be my champion. And I'm like,
huh?
Like after all of the way he's been lavishing it, and like when he hugged Cody earlier too, he kissed him on the head and it's just being creepy. I'm like, is that your way of saying you want Cody Rhodes as a sex slave, you weird Diddy wannabe? Like, this shit was so freaking awkward and
Yeah.
weirdly homoerotic / Vince McMahon abusing his sexual power. Like, it's just too much.
It was very strange, man.
And they never
I couldn't
clarified.
follow.
They never clarify at any point what he means when you want to be my champion. So it could be
No.
anything from like, I want your, I want you to be my lover, versus I want you to be the new corporate champion like I did back in the fucking 90s.
Yeah. Which would
And
have
I'm
been so
hoping.
much better to say instead of just saying over and over again that I want you to be my champion or something other slightly homoerotic, bro. Like I was like, what's happening? Listen, and I'm not saying I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're straight. I do not care. That is not the point. The point is what the hell was happening here. That's the point.
No, but it falls into. And I gotta think there's some deliberateness, right? Because it makes you feel that weird, creepy, like Diddy kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Diddy Combs is what I mean, not did he do it, for anybody who's listening. And it's got that weird, like, I'm at the top and now I'm going to use you as I see fit, including sexually. It's like, it's weird. It's creepy and it's weird. And it's also leaning into that TV trope of like, we're making a villain more villainous by making him slightly creepy gay.
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't a good look.
Yeah.
And Cody Rhodes responds saying, I didn't expect you and I to become friends or our moms to become friends or the Terramana. None of that was on my bingo card, but your champion. I think you, of all people, know that I'm their champion. He points at the WWE Universe. And he says, Rock says, yes, you're their champion, proudly their champion. Of course you are. The Rock is the people's champion. I love that about you. And I'm like, that sentence didn't make sense. And he says, this is our universe. WWE is us. We're born into this business. It's in our DNA. But Cody, I'm talking about something much more, much bigger than just this. I know for a fact that your number one goal is to bring as much joy and happiness to everybody around the world, as many around the world as possible, right? And he doesn't allow Cody to answer. He says, yes, because you're that guy. You're that dude. I know it. You know it. You communicate through social media, Instagram. How many Instagram followers you have? You have a lot, millions. The Rock has 500 million. That's not a flex. What I'm saying is The Rock is the most followed American man around the world. Sounds like a flex to me, Rock.
Yeah.
And I want that for you, and that's a fact. The Rock is here. I want you to be here, and he's using his hands to indicate, like, Rock is at this level, and he takes the other hand and goes even higher and says he wants Cody to be at that level. And he says, that's what I mean by being my champion. And I'm like, no, that doesn't clarify shit. Like, you still haven't clarified anything.
Yeah, nothing has been clarified,
and
bro.
he just keeps saying, Cody, if you become my champion, I can open doors and possibilities for you never knew existed. If you become my champion, every dream you've ever had, I can make that come true. Every dream, your wife, every dream of your baby, who knows? And then he goes on to talk about how he invited him to... Go ahead.
No, I was like, how old is that baby? The baby ain't got no dreams. What are you saying? He wants a marshmallow castle. That's what the baby wants. What are you talking about, Rock?
Yeah, and he at this point, it's just like Rock rambling. Like, this was a stream of conscious that just didn't make much sense. He then deviates to talking about how he, invited him to the premiere of Moana 2 in Hawaii, and then he looks to the camera and says, thank you, by the way, for making that crossover $1 billion. I love you. Thank you very much. You came out there for support. I met your family. They were amazing. Your baby's dreams, and when you and I are no longer here, when we're walking in the clouds, I can make all of that come true for you. I just want you to be my champion. No, I need you to be my champion. And he goes on to say, Cody, I want you to think about something for a second. I'm a very lucky man. I've got it all. I know it. You know it. You have it all. We're lucky boys. We're mama's boys. We're girl dads. We're lucky boys. And I mean,
he said the girl dad thing about 2 or 3 times. Like,
and then he just out of nowhere, I guess the crowd was getting sick of his shit, because he then like has an outburst where he says, hey, you shut your mouth or I'll slap the syphilis out of your face. He says, I'm trying to have a moment with Cody, shut your mouth. And he says, Cody, listen to me. The one thing that I've never had that I want more than anything is a brother, and that's what you could be. Last year for WrestleMania, you know this, my goal was to face my cousin Roman Reigns for the WWE title. You know it. I guess he points at Cody, and then he says, "You know it," and he points at the people. He says, "When I came back, I talked to Triple H, who's my friend. I talked to Nick Khan, who's my friend. Both of them are your friends." I said, "I know it's not the plan. I know it's supposed to be Cody. Talk to Cody. We're going to have to move him to the side because that's what's best for business." And the biggest match ever, Rock versus Romans, and what did you do? You shit all over that. I'm not doing it, and you stood up to me. And you know what else you did to me? In front of the entire world, you slapped me, and no one else does that and gets away with it. But that's why you're special, and that's why you should be my champion. And see, now it's starting to feel like this also makes it feel weird. Like, this is like, you slapped me and stood up to me, so now I need to dominate you, both like mentally, physically, sexually. And it's just weird and creepy. And it's just weird at this point. Like, I guess I'll continue to go through this, but this was the worst, most awkward crap promo. When all I really wanted, what I think most of the world wanted, was for Rock to come out there, call Cody Rhodes out, and say, "Look, last year at WrestleMania, I told you I was coming back for this belt, and now I'm gonna."
Yeah.
Instead, we get all of whatever this crap is. But he goes, I'm weary from this fucking promo. He goes, "That's why you should be my champion. That's why I'll take you from here to here." He does the hands thing again. "I'll make every dream you have come true." So he's repeating himself all the fuck over again. "You and generations behind you, your dad, my dad, right now looking down. The American dream and the soul man, they were friends. You and I are friends. Cody, be my champion." And here's the thing. I don't want you to answer me tonight. I want you to think about it. I want you to go home and talk to your wife. I want you to hold that baby of yours. I'm going to go home. I'm going to talk to my wife. I'm going to hold my babies too. And then I want you to think about it. I'll meet you in Toronto at Elimination Chamber on March 1st. You give me your answer then. It's okay. Before I leave New Orleans, this has been an amazing night. This has been a hot-ass crowd. The same crowd that you want to slap the syphilis out of, by the way, you weirdo.
Yeah.
And he says, "Thank you very much. Before I leave, I want you to know this. The one thing I want more than anything in the world is this." And he points towards Cody. And Cody says, "This championship, my championship, their championship, this is what this is all about." And Rock says, No. I don't want that." And he points at the title. He points at Cody and says, "I want your soul. I'll see you in Toronto." And that was just a weird fucking way to... So, like, I can't tell if you want to...
Oh my god!
Come Cody, fuck Cody, eat Cody, or Shang Tsung his fucking soul out of his body, or if you just want it to be the corporate championship angle all over again. But that was fucking weird and long and repetitive and stupid. And whoever wrote that should feel bad.
Feel very bad, please.
It just wasn't... I don't know where they're going with this, but I don't like the ride so far, is all I got to say. This was fucking terrible. And
there were so many potholes. I kept my neck
champion back. And the final boss, and it did probably the weirdest U-turn it could have done. I mean, I guess they're setting up maybe a Cody heel turn, maybe. Whereas I thought The Rock was going to challenge him for the belt. And I'm like, man, if you guys changed that plan just because the internet guessed it, most of that plan, then that's lame. But maybe it's because The Rock, I guess, can't wrestle this year. I don't fucking know.
I don't know, man, but...
This was just fucking weird. That's all I got. You've heard all the rest. I don't feel like rehashing it. It was fucking weird.
Yeah. And that's legit all that I can say about it as well. There was nothing about it that I was interested in. It was just awkward. It gave me that feeling that you were talking about. Yeah, that really creepy, like, I don't like this. I want to go home type feeling. Just bad. I mean, I can't stress how bad. This was bad.
Yeah, it was very strange. Like I said, like, you come away from it not knowing if The Rock wants to be Cody, because of the way he was going on and comparing the two of them, it's like, it's almost like a creepy stalker that
Yeah.
wants to be Cody. And then all of the kind of like touchy feely, kissy, do you want to fuck Cody? This is
Yeah.
gross.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to kill Cody? Do you want to take his soul? Like, how does that work? Are you Shang Tsung now? Now that you're the TKO executive, you're like, your soul is mine.
Yeah.
In which case you could turn into Cody if you wanted to, if you were Shang Tsung. So just get on that. But it answered nothing. It confused everything, and it was very creepy and weird, and just an altogether no from me, dog. Like
Yeah.
that. If this wasn't already a Midland SmackDown, that by itself would tank it straight into the like you don't even see top tier. You're so low.
Yeah.
Negative neck nubs.
Completely. -0.
Yep.
-10. -10 neck nubs. Damn it.
-10 neck nubs. But following that awkward bullshit, we're brought to our fifth match of the night, which is DIY giving the championship opportunity that Pretty Deadly won the week before to Pretty Deadly.
Yeah.
And I talked a long time with that Rock bullshit. Would you like to speak to this match?
Sure, absolutely. This one's pretty simple. After that long segment that they gave us with The Rock, they decided to give us a pretty simple, we know what's going to happen here type match with Pretty Deadly versus DIY. First of all, I do want to speak to what I think they're doing with Pretty Deadly, and I wish they would stop or pick a lane. You guys remember Pretty Deadly and their entrance? It was very, very flamboyant. The finger gesture they would do with the yes boy.
Yes, boy.
Yeah, they don't do any of that anymore. They still wear the same outfits, but their physical stance is one that appears as if they're going for a more masculine stance. The shoulders like hunched over, like they're ready to, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because apparently they can't be both pretty and deadly, so they have to butch them up to remind you the deadly part.
Yes, but they haven't changed their outfit yet, so they still have to wear the little cut off tops and whatnot. And it just looks very strange now. And I guess I don't know if it's Pretty Deadly who wanted to change this up, or if it was the voices in the back that wanted to change this up. But in either case, I'm gonna need them to shit or get off the pot, because right now it just looks very awkward, and they suddenly now look uncomfortable in the costumes that they used to wear. Very, very proudly. So I don't know what happened, but I can feel the tension here. Let's fix this, please, because it's fucking strange.
Damn.
But aside from that, the match itself is yet another mid match, and you guys already know I'm not a fan of DIY. They are boring. I was a huge fan of Pretty Deadly. And I still don't dislike these gentlemen. I think they can go in the ring. But DIY is just boring. I honestly think the best of DIY is Ciampa, and they for some reason will not separate this man from Johnny Gargano. They just keep these two together. And even when they didn't have Ciampa with Johnny, they hitched him up with The Miz. I'm not really sure why. They bring him from NXT just so that he could be on the arm of some other dude and just job. So I guess I can't complain. At least he still has a job, right? Carmella. Carmella. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Anyway, this match.
Oh yeah, you're hitting on a little piece of news there. Apparently Carmella's not Carmelo, Carmella, the female wrestler. She's not having her contract renewed, and I find that this can't be coincidence with there being some sort of heat with Corey Graves, since they're both married.
Yeah.
So Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah, but I had to throw that out there. And it was kind of a play on words. And I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to confuse you guys, but uh, Michael Cole the other night called Carmella. Um, and so that's where that joke was coming from. But
Yeah, to be fair, he has a problem with the names that end in O or something because he called
yeah,
Dominic Mysterio Dominic Mysteria.
yeah, that's true. Um, but aside from all that, this was again this was a mid match. I can't even think of anything that really stood out for me. Um, and it ended the way that I kind of thought it was going to end, and the way that Josh predicted it would end, and that is by disqualification. So Pretty Deadly won, but they don't win the belts. That's still DIY.
Mhm.
And the disqualification happened because, of course, uh, uh, Street Profits uh, came in and just basically laid waste to everyone. Everyone. In fact,
Everybody, the entire division
yeah.
except
In
for
fact,
like
I think
the War Raiders.
I think Motor City came out to try to help, or to basically get to attack Street Profits, and then they got the business handed to them.
Yep.
So everybody, I don't think Motor City came out to help DIY since they're still like not happy with each other. But I think they came out because they saw Street Profits and they're like, oh, we're gonna get us a piece too. And then Street Profits were like, are you sure about that?
Yeah,
And
the Motor City machine guns weren't ready for that smoke.
they were not. Their Machine Gun Motor City machine gun motor roads were broken. And winner, Pretty Deadly via disqualification, but WWE Tag Team Champions are still DI. Brr.
Yeah, and this was, I mean, it's annoying that the match got interfered with because the same thing happened last week. So it's like, okay, so these matches, you can mentally write them off knowing that, the Profits are just going to intrude.
Yeah.
So I didn't have high hopes for this one coming in. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a filler match until the Profits come out and interfere. Now, on the upside, the Profits did look very dominant, like standing tall over three of the biggest champion, contenders in the tag division. Again, only absent, as far as I can think of right now, we didn't have Legado del Fantasma's guys, and we didn't have the War Raiders.
Yeah.
But and I think that's not even the right. I think Legado is on SmackDown. The War Raiders are somewhere else. So I'm throwing in people that aren't even in part of this division. So it was like all but one of the main tag teams on SmackDown right now.
Yeah.
That the Profits stood tall over. And on the one hand, I'm happy to see the Profits getting a push. We've been asking for that forever. On the other hand, it means that these matches the past couple of weeks for the tag titles are, that it's going nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so the match itself is worth nothing because it's all for a setup for, making the Street Profits look good. So, okay, another meh match.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, and then I did The Rock. I'm going to let you do the next most awkward promo of the night, and that would be Kevin Owens.
Yeah. So Kevin Owens does yet another promo after responding to Sammy's previous response to Kevin. Let's see if you guys can follow me here. It started with the attack on Sammy, and then Kevin cuts a promo, and he basically says, he explains why he did it, and states that he's going to continue to brutalize Sammy until I guess he's satisfied. I don't know. He didn't
Yep.
give us an until. And
His
then
reasoning being that Sammy didn't interfere in that match with Cody Rhodes enough.
yeah, didn't help him. And so Sammy gives him a response like, "Okay, that's a bit drama, bruh, but all right, that's fine. You want to fight? We can keep on fighting. I'll see you. I'll see you, son." And so Kevin
Yep.
responds to that, which is basically, "Oh yeah, you'll see me. Well, I'll see you. Good. We'll see each other. That's fine by me." Basically,
Yeah.
I'm ad libbing, guys. Okay, so then
Yep.
that's where we are, right? So now, after responding to that promo that where Sammy responds to him, so he's already responded. He responds yet again, and this time his promo is almost the exact opposite of what he originally stated. Now he is being forced to fight Sammy. He's being forced to attack Sammy and take money and food off his family's table, out of his family's mouth. Now Sammy is forcing him to do this. He starts out with, "You got what you wanted. You got your match. You couldn't just take the punishment that you deserved, that I'd already given you, and let it go." And I'm thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? You said you weren't gonna let it go.
Yeah.
No, you wanted me and you to go again. You said you wanted you guys to go again. You wanted to fight me. You wanted to hurt me. You wanted to end my career, which would hurt my family. By the way, these are all things that you have already stated you, Kevin, wanted to do to Sammy. So confusion sets in for me at this point. He continues by saying that it's truly despicable. But what about your family, Sammy? Have you thought about them? Do they know? And then he turns his camera around to show that he's outside of Kevin's house. Outside of Sammy's house, filming Sammy and his wife and his daughter or his child while they interact and go about their lives. And you know, because I mean that's supposed to be extra creepy, and I'm thinking, I think we even said it at the time. Yeah, you just left their house from dinner, and you're like, "I'm gonna cut this promo outside your house." Is that cool? Yeah. Yeah, but he says, "Do they know what you're about to put them through? What they have to watch me end your career in Toronto? And what happens then when you can't provide for them anymore, and everything they have, the nice house, the peace, the security, the shelter, when it's all gone? And why? Because you're too proud?" And I'm like, wait, what's happening? You're too proud. You're the one who started all of this. You're the one who wanted all of this.
Yeah, so just to keep track, he attacks Sammy for not interfering in his match with Cody Rhodes, even though Sammy was there. Sammy then cuts a promo saying, "Well, I guess you and I have different definitions of being there for someone, because I was right there at ringside with tears in my eyes while that was happening. And what did you do? You tried to end my career. So we're going to go again, and it's not going to be fun." And then Kevin, in the next promo, says, "Oh, you think you know pain? I'll show you pain." And is like all for it. And then, Sammy gets the match made, and now he's cutting this promo that makes it sound like, oh, Sammy's just attacking Kevin. Oh, poor me, poor victim.
Yeah. So he actually calls him selfish. He says, "You're selfish because you're going to make me do this to them. And I'll never forgive you for that. I'll see you in Toronto. But remember, you asked for this. It's all your fault." Huh?
Yeah. So it just doesn't track. Not only does it not make sense, then you got Kevin outside of Sammy's house, which is more creepy, which we already had plenty of creepy with The Rock. So this was just trash. I mean, we were good at Sammy getting the match. It didn't need to go anywhere from there.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this need, because I guess they figure, like, people are watching SmackDown for the first time every time, so we got to recap everything and keep the story rolling. Like, we were good. This has all the heat it needs on it, and now Kevin's promo is both inconsistent and stupid. So it's another one. This is another one that just would tank it even further if The Rock hadn't already buried SmackDown completely with his stupid promo.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Yep. So insane forever. Then we get to probably the only real redeeming thing in this entire episode of SmackDown, which is the main event match, which is Damian Priest and Braun Strowman with Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, with Tama Tonga, I guess, somewhere in tow. And this match was actually a banger. Not only because, like, all four men in the ring are very fucking good at what they do, but we haven't seen this matchup that often. I mean, yeah, we just recently saw Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman, but I can't remember the last time I saw Solo versus Damian Priest, and it's the first time, as far as I'm aware of seeing Damian Priest versus Jacob, and Solo versus Braun. So not only are we seeing some new shit, all four of these men just bring their A game for this match. It was good. I don't really have a whole lot more to say outside of doing a play-by-play, and I'm not really trying to do that right now. But I will say that we end up with a fantastic victory when Priest connects South of Heaven on, I want to say Solo?
Yeah, I think he does.
Oh, he does, and this is a bit of a story beat. It's when both of them are attempting to attack Damian Priest, and Priest is fighting off both of them, and Fatu, like, they're on each side of him. He's flanked, and he's throwing back elbows and forward elbows, and then Fatu attempts to go for a super kick, and Damian sidesteps it, so Fatu just kicks Solo straight in the face, and then gives Solo a look like, well, you shouldn't have been standing there, son of a bitch. And Priest then launched Fatu over the top rope, and he then basically gets over to Solo and hits him with the South of Heaven to pick up the victory. And so basically that match was lost because Fatu kicked Solo in the face. And I mean, this is after a banger of a match. Like, if everything had been up to the level of this match, this episode of SmackDown would be top tier.
Yeah,
but unfortunately,
be able to shut up about it. But
this match is about the only thing I can recommend for this episode of SmackDown. This one was hopefully rare and not to be repeated Lulu of a SmackDown. This was just not good. And it's particularly bad that it was not good because they were bringing out the heavy hitters. I mean, you had The Rock and Cody and everybody showing up.
Yeah.
But between, like, the incoherent promos that were major segments and, you know, the whole the SmackDown's women's championship scene, that whole match being like a flub fest that was kind of awkward and weird. And then, you know, their entire tag division basically just being, a nothing burger match that resulted in the Street Profits kicking, the crap out of everybody. I mean, you add it all up, and this is just a completely terrible SmackDown. Yeah. Aside from the final match. The main event was the only redeeming thing for this episode. So, I don't mind saying it. This is definitely not getting a top tier. This is like getting 3 neck nubs, man. Like, and that's me being generous. This was pretty bad. The only reason to recommend it is if you want to stay abreast of, like, if you want to go see for yourself the abortion that was The Rock's promo and watch it like you'd watch a bad movie and just laugh at how bad a lot of the stuff was. Otherwise, I can't recommend this. This episode was terrifically awful, and I hope they course correct significantly.
Quickly. Like do what you got to do and change that, please. Change the scene, move around, because this was not good. And you bring out a heavy hitter like The Rock just to have him come out here and say some nonsensical, incoherent bullshit about taking souls and stuff. The fuck is happening? Um, The Rock. Maybe you guys didn't hear. You brought The Rock here for this. So I don't know what's happening, but we need to fix it. Fix it. It's broken, please.
Yeah, I agree. So that was my rating. What's your rating on this review?
What did you say? Like 3 neck nubs?
Yeah.
I will give them like 4 or 5, just because the last match was really good, but it ain't worth it. It can't save this. That one match cannot save this entire show. It cannot be top tier, because there was just between the mid matches, the one bad match between Tiffany and Candice, the very awkward promos, just like between all of that, I can't give this higher than a 4. So
Yeah.
definitely not top tier.
Yep. And I'll say this: the 3 that I gave it was exclusively because of the last match. Otherwise, it would be the world first nubless, like 0 nubs.
Yeah.
But that last match was good. That earned it the 3 neck nubs I did give it, and that's the only reason. That literally was the only thing worth watching that entire episode of SmackDown, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it just was not a winner.
I agree.
Well, that has been our coverage of WWE SmackDown from February 21st. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who has listened to this episode, and I hope you will join us for our next episode. And until then, I don't think there's anything for me to do but roll the outro.
Hi, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest AEW and WWE news and shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Follow us on social media for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.